that block the path. I'm sorry, I'm trying to read a quote for you and I started wrong. So I'm going to start again because this is a really good one. Obstacles are not things that block the path. Obstacles are the path. That's a quote I heard from Michael Beckwith that we're going to be discussing here today on Manifestation Mondays. I'm Cheryl Campbell and I'm with my good friend Marian Edvardson. Hi, Marian.
Hi, Cheryl. Hi, everyone. Glad to be with you again.
How you doing today?
I'm doing great.
Excellent. So, what do you think about that quote? You actually have to think about it for a minute. So, I know you probably don't have it in front of you. So, if you want, since I kind of mixed it up a little bit, you want me to read it again to you so we can then start the conversation about it, or?
Sure, read it again. And I love that you read it wrong from the beginning because it lets people think about what stops them and becomes an obstacle. People were like, "Oh, how am I doing this video?" And they would say, "I can't do video because if I don't do it perfectly."
Oh my God, Marian, that is so funny that you just said that because you know some of my issues that I have with that residual effect of a speech disorder I had when I was a kid. And so that is so funny. So I am going to read it again and then we're going to chat about that because I didn't intend to be the perfect example of how you need to just work through this stuff and just go for it. But the quote by Michael Beckwith is, obstacles are not things that block the path. Obstacles are the path. And so I am going to put this on me for a moment because I let the speech disorder that I have, and that's a whole nother story that we're not going to talk about today, but I did for years allowed the speech disorder I had to affect my life in so many different ways. And even after I worked through that, the issues that I thought I had, I was well into my, good Lord, Marian, I think I was in my late 40s when I realized I was still being affected by this little 4-year-old that had this speech disorder. And I was reacting like a 4-year-old instead of someone in her 40s. And, but so I did let that block my path a lot. And then I realized that that was the path, just like Michael Beckwith says, because I needed to, get over myself, and realize that was a 4-year-old's reaction that wasn't equipped emotionally or any other way to deal with the stuff that she was going through at the time. But me as an adult, of course I have control over how I react to that kind of thing now. I don't have to take it all so personally. I don't have to base it on, the emotional pain of a 4-year-old, and that I could treat it as an adult. So it's so funny that I did not make that comparison until you mentioned it. So thank you for that. But it is so true, isn't it?
Yeah, we stop ourselves because what we think is an obstacle is really a chance for us to say stop and become aware of what is that thing that all of a sudden has put us into, there's really only two states of being. Either you're in a contracted state or an expansive state.
Yeah.
And we want to be in that expansive state. The universe wants us to be in that expansive state. And so an obstacle is just a thing, a momentary thing that we can just step around.
Mm-hmm.
Or just be aware of. And if it's something that keeps coming up in our lives, we can ask ourselves, well, when did that happen and what is going on? And know that we have the ability to change that.
Mm-hmm. So true. And it's interesting that you say that the universe wants us to be expansive. And it does. There's actually, I actually think it's Michael Beckwith that talks about this, ironically. But he talks about how the universe is always expanding. And, that's been proven by our scientists and everything. And that, spiritually and emotionally, when we're not growing as individuals, we're going against the universe. And because we're stopped and the universe is expanding, that we keep on getting nudged and nudged and nudged, because the universe is going to make sure we grow. And so we actually have a choice to consciously direct that, co-create that change in ourselves, or the universe is just going to keep on pushing us. And a lot of times that happens through pain, because you don't understand what's going on, and emotionally it hurts, And so we have a choice, be conscious about it and choose to grow. It's how we're designed to be. Whether people realize it or not, we're designed to always be learning, always to be growing, always to expand, And there's so many different levels we can do that on. And what did we talk about the first week? All it takes is a little tiny baby step to get started. Yeah.
And if we know that they're really, again, two things cannot occupy the same space, right? So if we have a fear, if something happened, and that's often a fear that got in our way, there's only fear or love.
Mm-hmm.
And if we know that fear and love can't exist in the same place together,
Mm-hmm.
we can choose which one. And if we always choose love,
mm-hmm.
And love, choose love and surround love around any obstacle,
Mm-hmm.
then we can dissipate that fear, or just become aware of that fear or that obstacle, so that we can make a different choice.
Right. And awareness is so important, because you don't know what you don't know until you know it. So, you really do need to be aware of something first. You have to stop yourself. But it's interesting, as you were saying that, I was thinking also about what we were talking about a couple of weeks ago, when you were saying that the mind is incapable of having a positive thought and a negative thought at the same time. And so again, there's that choice. If you catch yourself doing something negative, if you have, and they call them mentations, a thought that constantly goes over and over and over and over again in your mind. So if you're constantly thinking in a negative way, become aware of it. And as Marian said before, just say, stop, and, choose a positive statement instead. And that could be our little baby step for this week, is whenever you have a negative thought that goes through your head and you catch it, say stop and replace it with the good, because there's always the flip side. There's always that yin and yang, So yeah, flip it around to a positive, and it could make a big difference.
The other term that we use is ants. There are those ants. Those
what
ants
does that stand for?
our way, automatic negative thoughts.
Okay. All right. So when you find
our brain is wired that way.
Yeah.
And we don't have to accept that.
Yeah, that's evolutionary. I mean, that was when we needed to survive as a species, when we were being chased by, something that was trying to eat us or something, But yeah, we don't have to have that. And just a little aside that be aware of is that when you have that kind of negative, angsty, thing all the time, it also just increases your stress levels, which has all kinds of bad things that affect your health and everything. And so by changing a negative thought, an ant, to a positive thought, could also affect your health in a positive way. Has a ripple effect.
For sure.
It has a ripple effect. So I like that ant analogy. Do they have a one for the positive? We should make up our own. Think about it.
We'll think about that.
Yeah. Make up our own for the positive effect of that. But I like that. Ants. And you don't need to be afraid of ants. You just need to be aware of them.
That's right.
Yeah. So I don't know, anything that you want to share? I love the way that you have these little quick tips for people to, change the way they think about things. Do you have anything else that you'd like to?
That is, just be that awareness. It seems like every week we have an A word.
Have plenty of awareness, yeah. And we should be on C this week, ABC. This is our third week of really doing these little quotes and having these discussions based around them. But I love looking into the quotes like this. And so, actually, you guys out there, if you happen to have a favorite quote that you think would strike up an interesting conversation, go ahead and reach out to us and let us know, and we'll make it part of the conversation. So, I don't know, Marion, do you have anything else that you want to share today, or should we wrap it up? Or
No, I love that. We want this to be about, because you and I are both about helping people live their best life. And so we love your feedback. And if why don't you give your Facebook page where people can comment? Mine is Step Into Happy. That's my Facebook page. And so, below, make a comment when we post this video, a favorite quote or a topic that you would like covered, and we'd be happy to do that. And Cheryl, what's your Facebook page?
My Facebook page that you can go to for this is Cheryl T. Campbell, and that's also my website, CherylTCampbell.com. And Marion and I do love to talk about this stuff. We have some existing programs and some programs that we're in the process of putting together that is geared for taking those baby steps that could make such a huge difference in your life. So please visit those pages, and please join us again next Monday when we do Manifestation Mondays. And until then, we'll say goodbye and many blessings to you and yours. So bye-bye for now.
And don't let the obstacles get in your way.
And don't let those ants bother you.
Exactly. Choose joy, right? Choose joy.
Exactly. Choose joy. All right, everybody. Bye-bye. We'll see you next week.